On a cold winter night in December 1956, two sisters, Barbara and Patricia Grimes, left their home in Chicago to watch an Elvis Presley movie. They never returned. Nearly a month later, their bodies were found along a desolate road in Willow Springs, Illinois. What happened to them remains one of Chicago's most disturbing and unsolved mysteries. December 28, 1956. Barbara, 15, and her younger sister Patricia, 12, were excited to see Elvis Presley's latest film, Love Me Tender, at the Brighton Theater. They were expected home by midnight, but when the clock struck 12 and they hadn't returned, their mother Loretta knew something was terribly wrong. Loretta Grimes immediately contacted the police after her daughters failed to return home. What followed was one of the largest missing person searches in Chicago's history. Hundreds of volunteers combed through the city and surrounding areas, but no trace of Barbara or Patricia was found. On January 22, 1957, nearly a month after their disappearance, a construction worker named Leonard Prescott made a horrifying discovery. While driving along German Church Road in Willow Springs, he spotted what he thought were mannequins lying near a guardrail. But these weren't mannequins. They were the bodies of Barbara and Patricia Grimes. The sisters' bodies were found naked and arranged in a strange position. Barbara lying face down with Patricia partially covering her at a perpendicular angle. This bizarre arrangement raised immediate questions about how they had died and whether they had been posed deliberately. An autopsy revealed disturbing details. Both girls had suffered physical trauma, bruises on their faces and puncture wounds on Barbara's chest that resembled ice pick marks. But despite these injuries, the official cause of death was listed as exposure to freezing temperatures. One of the most controversial aspects of this case is the time of death. The coroner's report suggested that Barbara and Patricia died within hours of their disappearance based on undigested food found in their stomachs. However, Harry Gloss, an investigator from the Cook County Coroner's Office, disputed this conclusion. Gloss argued that a thin layer of ice found on their bodies indicated they had been alive until at least January 7th, meaning they could have been held captive for days before being killed. With mounting pressure from the public to solve the case, police quickly zeroed in on Edward Benny Bedwell, a drifter who had been seen with two girls resembling Barbara and Patricia shortly after their disappearance. Bedwell eventually confessed to killing the sisters after 3 days of intense interrogation. But there was one major problem. His story didn't add up. He claimed he had been with the girls for weeks before killing them, yet autopsy reports showed they had likely died within hours. Bedwell later recanted his confession, claiming it had been coerced by police. Another suspect emerged years later, Charles Melquist, who was convicted for the murder of Bonnie Lee Scott in 1958. Scott's murder bore striking similarities to the Grimes case, leading some investigators to believe Melquist may have been involved in both crimes. Then there was Max Flagg, a teenager who failed a polygraph test during questioning about the murders, but without solid evidence linking him to the crime, he was never charged. The lack of concrete evidence meant that both suspects eventually faded from focus. As if this case wasn't already perplexing enough, numerous witnesses claimed to have seen Barbara and Patricia alive after their disappearance, in various locations across Chicago. These sightings were ultimately dismissed as unreliable due to lack of evidence. And then there's the issue of lost evidence. A semen sample collected from Barbara's body has since gone missing. This prevents any modern DNA analysis that could potentially link suspects like Melquist to the crime. The mystery deepens when we consider how these crucial pieces might have changed everything. New leads have emerged in recent years thanks to amateur sleuths like Ray Johnson. He is a former police officer who uncovered critical information about 4 teenage boys who may have crossed paths with Barbara and Patricia on Archer Avenue on the night they disappeared. But despite these new leads being presented to law enforcement, no arrests have been made. Yet, could we be closer than ever to solving this decades-old mystery? The murder of Barbara and Patricia Grimes remains one of Chicago's most haunting unsolved cases. Over 6 decades later, we are still left with more questions than answers. Who killed these 2 innocent girls? Why were they taken? And will we ever know what truly happened that cold December night? As we wait for breakthroughs or forensic advancements that could finally solve this mystery, we can only hope that one day, justice will be served for Barbara and Patricia Grimes. Until then, this case remains cold. If you enjoyed this journey into the unsolved, please let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries, myths, and magic.